Well, hello. Welcome again. We're trying a new one. Let's try Friday. Let's talk about season one's trailer that we saw at Christmas. We've wanted to reflect on it. We'll do the same tomorrow with the season 15, but we just want to spend time reflecting and not rush into judgment. So welcome to that. And we've kind of given it a bit of a niche. We've kind of called it, if you have a look. This is our trash or treasure. We'll link it to Sablon Glitz just for a bit of gimmickry, but let's not, we'll look as though we're dabbling in lowbrow, but we'll try and get a bit of highbrow in as well. We'll get the dabbling in. But basically, hello, John. You can decide whether you...
Can I just ask what's wrong with lowbrow? The lower the better.
Or monobrow, I don't know.
Lowbrow, people... But when they go high, I'm going to go low.
You go low. So... the trailer, the season one trailer, end of Church on Ruby Road. What overall, because we're going to go into lots of items and we're going to judge each item out and give it a kind of hit or miss ratio. So just roughly, did it trigger you? Did it engage you? Did it excite you?
It's sort of fair to middling, a bit like the story itself. That there wasn't a huge amount there to get excited about. They were fleeting moments. Everything seemed new, which I think is good. It's about time we got new, and because after 2 years of Chibnall just smashing us over the head with anything that would stick, we now have RTD. We can talk about all the other issues as we do, but in terms of the trailer, it all looked new, not as exciting perhaps as other trailers I've seen, but I'm going to err on the side of positive.
Yes, it didn't. I must admit, overall, it didn't. Forcing yourself to go back, you look at all the items, and we can talk about all those clues and stuff in a minute. But yeah, overall, I compared to season 4s and 3s and 2s in the past, you think, yeah, they use great, exciting music. They're well edited, but overall, I thought, what's that told me about the new season?
And usually the excuses with these things that they haven't completed filming it yet, or they've only filmed so much of it. They don't have that excuse this time. So I'm presuming that, again, this is all to do maybe with Disney too. The BBC are restricted in how much they can do, and they're maybe saving this for a bigger launch a little bit later in the year. So we've got to give people that sort of ability. But if a trailer is to whet the appetite, then my appetite is whetted, but not to any particularly big extent.
Yeah, and before I move on to one element about the trailers, one big question that I suppose everybody is asking nowadays, and we've done a show called the Disney Factor. What would you say regarding? Did you see any signs of Disney's influence in the trailer? When I say that, I mean, could you see the Disney version of Doctor Who in any shape or form?
You mean apart from people looking a bit goofy and?
Yes, very animalistic. I mean,
I was just ducks in a row, or Donald Ducks in a row. Not particularly. No, it looked like your bog standard Doctor Who trailer. We got some new characters. We got the Doctor in jeopardy with the companion. We got running down the corridor. We got creatures, but it was all not so much that we could join any dots together. And there was nothing new there. There was nothing sort of wham bam. Oh, I didn't know she was in it, or I didn't know he was in it. Finlay, as you can hear, is agreeing with me. So yeah, there was nothing new there. But I presume whet the appetite, more to come.
Well, one thing that does whet the appetite, that don't let us wait, is you get headlines being thrown at us all the time. It seems to me we've got there, Ncuti Gatwa teases the gayest doctor ever. Lots of people will feel seen and represented, he says. But then equally, Millie Gibson gives an interview to various papers, including, I think it was the Telegraph. There are so many controversial elements to this season. It's what we need. And if I just show you one or two things that's been said, to be fair. Okay, so on this one, she reckons the new episodes will attract a lot of Gen Z viewers as they go with the times and represent a lot of faces and themes that are really important to see on television, she says. And then it basically gives a list of LGBT things that RTD has covered before. She then goes on. There's obviously secrecy about the plots. So what can she tell us about her character? And she says, Ruby has a relationship with the Doctor that I don't think the audience has necessarily seen before. Wow. There's been a lot of companions. She really humanizes him. I thought Donna did. I thought very special. Anyway, Yep. Really humanizes him and balances him to be more like her. Foundling. Really, more innocent and pure and human, which is so beautiful to watch, says Gibson. And she teases there's a hidden secret with Ruby that rolls throughout the whole series. Now, I've got one more screen to go, but I'll stop for a moment. How are you feeling now? Are you triggered? Are you getting a bit, what's going on?
Well, I'm always a bit, even though it's Friday, I'm still a bit, Yeah, look, when I see someone promoting a new series of Doctor Who, the one I want to hear is entertaining, not controversial. Doctor Who's job isn't to be controversial, it's to be entertaining, frightening, scary, engaging, whatever, but not controversial. It is not. And by using that terminology and that sort of phraseology, they're giving themselves away. Doctor Who is not a vehicle for the message. Doctor Who is a vehicle for entertainment, and just entertain me. That's all. And if that's the big push you're making, by all means intrigue me about the character of Ruby and intrigue me about whatever the Doctor's up to. But don't push this notion that come and watch it for Generation Z controversy, because Generation Z are only a small portion of the viewership. There's a whole lot of other people out there to impress. Doctor Who, and I keep hammering this message home to everybody, when asked the question, who is Doctor Who for? Doctor Who's for everybody.
Yeah, and the other thing is, she's telling us, as it was initially in that earlier one, when she said, she brings him round to being more like her. And so yet again humanizes him, balances him, and you're thinking he's alien. Why can't we get this through to people, including RTD, that he's alien or she's alien, however on you take it, his companions are human, and it's that dynamic and interaction that's interesting.
Yeah, it is, absolutely. It is. And, I thought the whole reason for the bi-generation thing was we were parking the damaged goods Doctor, post-Time War. He's gone. That's it. So why does she need to change him? He's supposed to be all new, all fresh, no hang-ups, whatever. Yeah. So I don't get why he needs changing now. He's just fleshed off of a whole host of Doctors and left them with that angst. So it just doesn't make sense to me. You're upset or annoyed or triggered fandom with the whole bi-generation thing, and now the Doctor still apparently needs therapy and needs changing and needs a companion to humanize him. I don't get it.
But then at the same point, yeah, hi Peter. And at the same time, you've got we had Jodie Whittaker, who gave interviews, and as you know, she started to say things about, through the white male prism. Yeah. Now you've got Ncuti says certain things, you've got RTD says certain things, you've now got Millie Gibson says, it will be controversial, and it's a beautiful thing to watch that her companion makes the Doctor more innocent and pure and human. But he's not. I mean, honestly, why are we doing this?
I think it's three words you mentioned. Innocent. What's the opposite of innocent? Guilty. What's sort of pure is evil or wicked or impure. And what was the third one?
Oh, just taking it off. It was innocent, pure, and human.
And human and alien. So they're right on one thing. That's the one thing that should be changing. He's not human. But the Doctor is innocent and he is pure. That's the whole point. That's the reason why we gather around him as fans and viewers, because the Doctor is the lone stranger who rides into town, solves your problems, and then rides out of town again. That's the whole. To use those words, obviously nobody's checking up what these people are saying. To make him innocent and pure. Well, if he's not innocent and pure now, what is he?
But then, and this is, I mean, folks who've tuned in, we are covering the season 1 trailer, but you can't cover the season 1 trailer and say the little bits that you liked and didn't like without talking about the interviews that are saying that the next series is going to be highly triggering to some people. And they trigger us deliberately. If you look at that first paragraph, it says, the outrage brigade will probably continue to clutch their pearls as the new series progresses. There's so many controversial elements to this season, the good sort of controversy, and it's what we need to see on our tellies, says Gibson. Some people might think this isn't the Doctor I know. Doesn't this sound like Jodie Whittaker? But I'm really excited to see it. It's really cool that they're doing concepts like these and changing it up. And just to finish this slide here, she points out you know, she's dealt with the special effects. She was crying her eyes out when a tennis ball hit her and all the rest of it. But then on my last slide here regarding this, I haven't got it there. This whole triggering idea worries me an awful lot, because one thing is they're parking us as the people who've watched Doctor Who for 60, 50, 40 years. They're now saying, you know, we're clutching our pearls as if we are always predictably like this. Well, there's always a few, of course they are.
Mm-hmm.
But there's an awful lot of people who are saying you are completely, utterly changing the show. And I've got 19, 20, 25-year-old actors telling me it's for the best. And they kind of almost know better.
Yeah, but look, they're now repeating the mistakes from the Chibnall and Whittaker era, where they're coming on and telling us sort of the fandom who have protected this, and fans who have protected this for years and years and years and kept the flame alive, may well be triggered by what we're about to do. But as it turned out, it wasn't just fans who were triggered and fed up, it was viewers in general. And they all went, I was about to say something I shouldn't there. They all went away. And so at the end of the Chibnall era, we're getting 1.5 million viewers on overnights, not much more than that in catch up. So be careful what you wish for, Millie, because the Doctor Who is a mainstream success. It has to appeal to a broad section of the community. And I know more and more entertainment is compartmentalised and it's aimed at certain demographics, and that's all good. I don't think Doctor Who falls into that category if it's ever going to be a big success. And especially if it's got a streamer like Disney Plus with it, it has to be a broad-based success. So by all means, play with the format. I'm fully in favour. I'm not going to clutch my pearls. Fully in favour of the format being experimented with. I'm fully in favour of them trying new ideas. I'm fully in favour of them taking the programmes into areas they might not have taken before, provided it suits the format and is true to the core of the issue. But what I'm not happy about is for someone to come along who really had nothing to do with the programme, with Jodie Whittaker, Millie Gibson, Ncuti Gatwa, and who, when they've left it and done the damage, will never watch it again anyway, telling us all in some way that we have to get with it and get with the plan and get with the... That's not how it works. You have to produce not a controversial series. Leave that to documentary makers and Jen Mercurio, or whoever wants to write Line of Duty. You have to write a family-friendly, entertaining, scary, engaging drama, which takes us all on a journey. Russell T Davies got that in Series 1, and that whole trailer was based on that, coming with us. This used to be our ability, or our aim here is to shock and annoy, which is a bit silly.
Yeah. Well, while we're just about to go and attack the season 1 trailer big time, I do need to remind people that, you know, we're here for entertainment purposes. And so, you know me by now, everybody, if you followed us. If you do subscribe, you know that galactic credits are sent off to Peladonian unemployed miners to raise the visibility of the plight of Spyridons. You know, every subscription gets a galactic credit. It's amazing, this. It's like those Blue Peter bring and buy sales or sending in milk bottle tops. Remember that? Well, now your subscriptions can go further than ever. We are trying to raise enough galactic credits for your subscriptions to buy outdoor gas heaters for the tribe of Gum. They have forgotten the secret of fire again, and sadly they've been taken off iPlayer, so their wages have gone down. So their plight is desperate. So please do subscribe, and we will see if we can get them some heaters or at least some twigs. You know, it is important. People don't realise there's a cost of living crisis in the tribe of Gum. They've forgotten the point. So, right, main game here. You've got to get serious now, John. You know, this is the glitz or blitz. Like I said, we're going lowbrow. We're judging the trailer, all its glitzers, all its pits, all its treasures, all its gems, and all its downsides. So, and basically, as you saw from the trailer, we'll do this with various things, but which will be the biggest pile? Will it be the pile of rubbish or will it be the pile of gold? So, we need to start, don't we? So, if I just take that off and say to you, what's your first item that you are going to criticize and heap a load of rubbish onto that tip regarding the season 1 trailer?
Yeah. Okay. Now, the big thing, we talk about Doctor Who's traditions and its core. The Doctor, as well as being an identifiable figure, has an identifiable silhouette. You know, whether it's Hartnell all the way up to Whittaker, you put that in one of those black outline silhouettes, and whether you're a fan or, you know, a sort of casual viewer, the chances are you'll recognise that as the character of the Doctor. What I've seen is that Ncuti's going to be a bit of a clothes horse. He seems to be wearing not only different costumes, but costumes that show his not unattractive frame. And that's all very well, but he's not playing himself. He's not playing, you know, a clothes model or a clothes horse. He's playing a children's hero. And one of the great things about the Doctor is that children and adults like to cosplay. Now, a lot of people might say, well, by wearing more costumes gives more opportunities for cosplay. But I remember Peter Capaldi talking about when he chose his outfit as the Doctor, that he wanted to make it as simple as possible and as easy as possible for children to do a simple black and white, and they would be his 12th Doctor. Ncuti seems we're going to have to get, Peter mentions Man at CNA, but I think it has to be Man at Prada, you know, or certainly some exclusive costumiers or gentlemen's outfitters for children to cosplay that. I think the Doctor should have an identifiable silhouette. I think it's intrinsic to the character. And while I look forward to Ncuti's portrayal, I think I've been very impressed so far, it isn't about making the actor look good. This isn't a platform just for him. It's about being true to the character. So that was a bit of a...
Yeah. So we'll kind of, there we go. The first rubbish box has gone onto the negative pile from John. So we're still counting negatives at the moment. So your next item, if you might recall, was this.
Yeah, you know, listen, and this is the one I'll argue to my dying day. I don't mind CGI, but I just feel that CGI is too easy. And I when I first saw the glimpse of that, I didn't get excited by it. I looked at that and go, haven't I seen that somewhere before? And that's the thing about CG creatures. They just tend to look very formulaic. They look cut from the same cloth. So that was a bit, it's not a program I watched for any great length of time, but it looked a bit Stranger Things to me. So
yeah,
when you play that sort of game with graphics, you end up with sort of cookie cutter monsters. Now, I am more than happy to take this back if we see the thing and it turns out brilliantly. But I remember way back during the Tennant era, when he was the 10th Doctor, we had the Lazarus creature. And again, that reminded me so much of a movie called The Relic, and it was about this stompy creature falling out the place. And during all that, I was like, you know what? I'd much rather have a shadowy man or woman in a rubber suit. You see a tentacle, you see a flipper, you see a claw, whatever it is. I just find that far more scary and far more threatening than them showing off and saying, look at the amount of money we've got now, we can produce these goods. Because all essentially is basically something of before.
Right, so that's your second item. Now, let me just take that off. If people have noticed, I'm not arguing too much. I will ask him now again. But because he's filling in quite a lot, I mean, we've done 2 now and we're 20 minutes in. What I will do is I've got mine as well, my criticisms and my positives. But at the moment, fair enough, we're just keeping score. And so he's now got 2 against the rubbish pile, 2 negatives of the trailer. So let's see where we go next. Is it a positive? Is it a negative? And we might find...
Yeah, well, this is strangely enough a positively negative, because they have, in the Church on Ruby Road, we were introduced to 2 wonderful characters. One thing RTD, Russell Davies, does is create wonderful human characters. I loved all of his families. I know a lot of people didn't like Martha's family. I loved them all to varying degrees. I loved Jackie Tyler. I loved Sylvia Noble. Wilf. I loved them all. And here we are with 2, they've been about one note as the granny so far, but Cherry and Ruby's mother, whose name escapes me, the character's name, doesn't matter. There were 2 great characters there. And yet I saw no sign of them at all in the trailer. I would have just liked to check in so that anybody who watched the Church on Ruby Road would know that these are coming back here. Grounds the Doctor, grounds Ruby, and it gives the series, for those of us who like that sort of stuff, a chance to look forward to seeing them again. So they had me saying, great, look forward to seeing more of these characters, both for comic and dramatic effect. Because remember, those human characters sort of they increase the jeopardy towards whatever's happening on Earth or with the Doctor and his companion. They really ground it. You don't need big, huge effects and disaster movie type effects to show destruction. You can show it at a very micro level in terms of what's happening to the companion's family. And these two were fantastic. I love them both, and I
I
just would
wonder if
love to have seen more of them, or even just a glimpse of them in the trailer.
I wonder if he maybe. I mean, yeah, I thought there was some strange decisions for the trailer itself of what season one kind of has in it as a composition. I'm just wondering if they're holding so much back. I mean,
It will be this.
I know what you're saying, because obviously season 4, I remember seeing Wilf sat there in some allotment area, it looked like, with his kind of telescope talking to Donna about, and I don't know, there was something about that family established, and they were used in the trailer itself, whereas this one, nothing. Now, obviously on the scoring at the moment, we've got here 3 negatives. So far 3 pits. Sabalon Pizzas at the moment.
They're in the pits. I just say there was my pal here, Douglas, who's come back to join me again, Douglas the Dalek. He wanted to be one of the lack of Dalek action in the trailer too, but I actually shut him up for a while because
he might be
it was
frightened
nice
by
to see some Dalek action for a while. Sorry?
He might be frightened by this because you're going to hit your first positives now, aren't you? And he's your first one.
Yeah, he's a monster. It looks like a proper practical effect. When I first saw the trailer and these sluggy creatures are shown from above, I thought, hello, are these tractators? Because they have that sort of carapace, that crustacean look to the top of them. There they are. There, yeah. Thanks, Brendan.
Yeah.
And there's a certain, I thought, because I would love to see the tractators done properly. Now, obviously, they're not. It's not the tractators. They're not coming back, and I can box that all up and put it away. But it would be lovely to see a similar type creature done properly. And if in addition to what I've seen here, and I saw in, if you like, filming shots captured or by fans on camera, that these sort of things sort of absorb humans, wrap themselves around them. I think that's Doctor Who being properly scary. This idea that something can absorb you and just take you away. We're not sure what it is they do, but I know there's CGI involved here, but this is a practical costume and I love it. That's Doctor Who. Just make it a bit darker, a bit more shadowy, please, and I'll be over the moon. And
I don't know if somebody in the thread might know. I do recall somewhere when all these rumors are coming out, I saw this in one of the newspapers, or I saw it as a leak. And I didn't like the photographs then, because obviously they weren't taken for a trailer. They were taken just by some press or some fans. And somebody seemed to be saying these were also from a comic strip. Now, I'm not sure if these are also a kind of the Beat the Meep inspiration, but if somebody knows, please tell us in the thread. So that's your next one. I'm keeping count.
Interestingly, I know in the thread, some people are talking about the crack in Ruby's family's ceiling. Hugh was wondering whether or not they'd fixed that or not. Perhaps, bugs and lice can get in when, the house is in disrepair. Perhaps that crack will open and let these ones in.
Peter, you've got to learn, though, Peter. Let's get his quote back up again. Peter, you've got to learn. It's a trailer for season 1 of apparently a sci-fi fantasy, apparently. And you're asking for the repair kit. So Ron Shaw, DIY SOS, I think you're talking about. Mm-hmm. That crack. Think of the crack in, what was it? Matt Smith's first season. That stayed for a while. The crack in
we could all say we can watch this season and we can all say, well, didn't like it, but we like the crack.
Yeah, okay, exactly. Right, your next one. I'm keeping count, don't worry. Your next one there was another positive, you said.
Yeah, Jonathan Groff. Yeah, the musical actor, the musical star of Hamilton, and a whole array of things. Nice, handsome guest star to the programme. But particularly what looked good about this was that's the shot I'm talking about. Because here we have a Regency-based episode, and all of a sudden, here's this character holding up a spacey gun, and you're thinking, oh, hello. You're right, so obviously somebody's there. He's not the master, thankfully. I'm assuming that he won't be the master. But he is, in some way, someone who, like the Doctor, is a person out of time. So Is Russell Davies going to repeat his Captain Jack success from season 1? And are we going to have a new character recurring? These are my hopes, not my expectations, just my hope or my summation. It's just my hope that this is a character who may well return and be a sort of a companion to the Doctor, a recurring character, because he's a great actor. And the thought of, now he's holding the gun on the Doctor, but I'm sure that Captain Jack held a gun on the Doctor as well quite early on in the Christopher Eccleston episode. So we're fine with that, and Amy will get to know the Doctor. So the point is, I'm intrigued by this and where this is going to go. And if Doctor Who does this sort of stuff, that's not only a good job for the trailer, but it's great for the series too.
He's a good actor. I liked him it was a series on HBO on Looking, and he was fantastic. It's the first time I saw him. I know he'd done Broadway, but I'd not seen him, obviously. But he was a really good character. He was up against Russell Tovey in Looking.
Who's another good actor. And the good thing about that is, Brendan, you're hoping that actors of such quality won't just be in garbage. You know, that they're going to do something because it's quality and it showcases them well. So when you have someone of that stature and who's growing in stature, that they're not going to sort of make a misstep and become part of something which is just a bit of a clunker. So that association, of Jonathan with Doctor Who bodes well, I hope. And I would love to think he became a recurring character.
I like your Captain Jack idea. This is the score, folks. If you've just tuned in, we're going through the season 1 trailer. We're going through John's judgments first, and he's deciding whether they are Sabalon Pits or Sabalon Glitz. And at the moment, his score is 3-2 to the Pits. So stay tuned. Now, where are we going next? Let's have a look. I will surprise. Well, I won't surprise you. I'm sure you'll have seen yourself. Here we go.
The lady in the middle,
the
thing popping up over her head. Indira Varna playing the Duchess. I'm intrigued by this guy. This is a fabulous actress. You know, again, a quality person who's on the rise and hopefully not taking part in something stupid and clunky. But I'm intrigued by the notion of this character. We've been told by Russell Davies that the Duchess is a character's going to get the children scuttling behind the screens. So on the one hand, we Jonathan Groff holding a gun against the Doctor, so we can assume that he's actually going to be a goodie. So therefore, we'll be told that the Duchess, as a character, is the baddie, but she's horrific and getting kids circling behind the sofa. So is she wearing some sort of cover? Is there more to the Duchess beneath the scenes than we know? So again, intriguing. But I'm pleased by the involvement of this actor. She's exceptionally good. She was a great Torchwood. And I'm hoping she'll be equally good in Doctor Who. So these sort of things are the sort of things that keep you hoping for the best, you know? So when you're getting something like we spoke about 20 minutes ago about it's going to be controversial and it's going to be this, it's going to be that, go, yawn, 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 turn it off. And this sort of stuff is the sort of selling that gets people interested in the programme.
And I've put it in red for those at home. If you haven't seen the interview, it was a while back when she was cast. She said, "I'm thrilled to be in Doctor Who, as everybody should be. I'm particularly excited to be crossing cosmic paths with Ncuti as the Doctor and looking forward to creating interplanetary mischief with him." Later on, it says it's a mysterious role. Well, it is because they keep blooming secrets. And then at the bottom, there's what John referred to. "This part is truly spectacular," says RTD, of course. "A whole new audience will be hiding behind the settee when the Duchess unleashes her terror." And of course, I couldn't understand. I was trying to do a transcript of what was said in the trailer, folks. And the Duchess speaks, but she was staring at the two lads dancing, but I couldn't hear if she was saying, "I'll resist him," "I can't resist him," "I'll assist him." Can you remember?
No, listen, I can barely hear when they play. There's too much music over it, you know, and everything is muffled and mumbled. No, I did, but I'm glad I don't. I know he gets called a cad, and interestingly, a lot of young people don't know what a cad is. But a cad, for any young people who do stray upon this, a cad is basically a very man who's particularly not nice to females. You know, a bit of a charlatan, but particularly in relation to the ladies. But she, I know there's speculation, because there always will be speculating about the return of the Rani for ages, but was there not something said about the Hindu for Duchess's reign and That's therefore an anagram of
Yeah,
Rani.
and Mrs.
You
and
know,
Mrs. Flood are in. I mean, everybody's Rani, isn't it? Every character is like Mrs. Flood, the
yes.
Duchess. It's classic.
Well,
Maybe he's playing a nice game. But anyway, there you can. We're 3-3 at the moment on hits and pits without me joining in.
We'll have to look at which one of these ones can play Bonnie Langford best before we move on, because they will know, because oh, there she is. Because this is where the hits take over the pits, because I was so happy, although we knew this already, I was so happy to see the return of Bonnie Langford as Mel. I maintain that Bonnie Langford has always been sold a short shrift by Doctor Who fans. You know, I know she's light entertainment. I know she's very end of the pier for some people, West End. I get all that, but she has become a very proficient, very level-headed and entertaining actress. You know, who has longevity. Bonnie has survived despite all the bad press, and I thought she made a great reappearance in the Church in Ruby Road. She was one of the highlights of that for me. And if in any way we can sort of rescue the character of what Mel should have been, I think Russell Davies can do that. So I look forward to her developing relationship with the Ncuti Doctor, and hopefully Mel will be not only maybe recurring in Doctor Who, but maybe will be part of any spin-offs that come our way too. I thank Bonnie Langford, although she should not hear this, but I thank Bonnie Langford so much for sticking by Doctor Who, because Doctor Who fans are some of the most unkindest people on God's earth. And she has mostly brickbats thrown at her over the years, but she's been true to this franchise, and the franchise now hopefully is rewarding her by inviting her to be a part of what will be, hopefully, its next success.
Right, we better chunder through. Right, next one.
Yeah, and it's atmospheric, isn't it? But I looked at that and I thought, who is that? And I like who is that? You know,
I'm looking again.
Yeah, I've not been able to make out who this is.
Do you want me to help you a little bit? Here we go.
Well, listen, if I say make it bigger, don't get the wrong idea.
Well, there you go. That's the best I can do. There you go.
Well, you know, oh my goodness. Now, is it male? Is it female? Is it the what? Who it is? I don't know. But you know what it is? It's atmospheric and on point. And I'm almost reminded of one of these old ghost stories for Christmas when I see images like that. You know, look in the background there. That tree is just,
Wuthering Heights.
And then this character standing there. That's in an age where we have bang, flash, wallop. Here you have something just in an instant. You have desolation, the tree giving an indication of, perhaps something that's happened before. And in the midst of that, the Doctor Who thing, which is, somebody's mentioned, I think it was Peter said, an autumn, but you do have that juxtaposition between, modern day dress or human dress, and at the same point, something which is very obviously isn't human or wasn't human. And I find that very intriguing. More of that, please.
Yes. Now, can we just spend a minute? I've given half an hour to John here. I'm using his breath here, but basically, I will join in with my hits and misses in a minute, and some of them are already here. But this one, we all saw the season 15 trailer yesterday, and may I say, I'm allowed to, but if I can just get it there, that actually tomorrow we will be looking at. In lots of detail, we will be looking at the season 15 Blu-ray collection and trailer release, and we'll be looking at it at 1 p.m. So please join us, because I've got a massive panel to talk about that. All fans of different eras, and we're all going to be discussing that. So please join us. Lots of shows are doing it, and so they should, because everybody's excited. And of course, I haven't got the photograph here yet for this show, but basically, couldn't that be Leela?
Well,
long grey hair.
No. I would like to think no. She may be grey haired, but she's not grey faced. No. Let's not conflate the two things. Yesterday's trailer, fantastic, brilliant. This is something entirely different. But I don't know who it is. But and let's not do the Doctor Who thing of it must be somebody from the past. Let's just appreciate what it represents. What it represents is intrigue, mystery, atmosphere. Love it.
And of course, a season 1 trailer, a season 2 trailer, trailers give us more mystery. They give us a clue, but they're not giving us enough. So I'm playing the game here. The distance shot, she's got a similar quote to Kate Stewart from Unit. When I was talking to Jamie in the house, Jamie came up with the fact that could this be Kate Stewart aged in the future? I thought after the season 15 trailer, I thought, oh my God, this could be Leela. She's got the same. So yes, we've got some intrigue from the trailer. That's what we want.
But that's the thing, irrespective of who this character turns out to be, just that shot, that tree is fantastic. That the framing of that shot, as I said, I'm reminded very much of those old Ghost Story for Christmas ideas, and it just looks. I say, in an age of flashbang wallop, flash. CGI, whatever, that could be filmed somewhere around 1972, and the shot before it, the TARDIS on the cliff, fabulous, using the Welsh scenery to its absolute best. So
this is where we're up to. If everyone can keep up here, it's looking at the moment the way, obviously, where John's going. If this judgment is, he's storming this with the trailer, and we're not judging the trailer. We're judging what do we think it's telling us about either their treasures or trinkets or disasters coming in the season ahead. So that's where we're up to. So with our next one, because he's not finished, there we go.
Yeah, it's the 1960s and the Doctor's costume, and along with that with the Beatles, because ultimately, doesn't the Doctor end up running down a whole lot of corridors in this particular scene, which is very much a hallmark of the RTD Who. There was an awful lot of running. I love this particular costume. I've slagged off the idea that the Doctor's not going to have a silhouette, but if this was the silhouette going forward, I would love it. It's just absolutely fantastic. And that particular scene where the Doctor runs up and down the corridor is just very much Doctor Who. I'm very much excited and intrigued again by this episode. I don't know if this is the musical episode that's been hinted at, or there will be a lot of musical biasness, but I really, really look forward to seeing it. And if Ncuti dies before me, I'm hoping he leaves that suit as well.
It's a suit, but I suppose you can't have it both ways. I know you've been saying he's a clothes horse at the moment, and then I don't know. I mean, if that suit was worn all the time, it's a kind of a version of the David Tennant-ish, and you think, okay, there's the suit, there's the silhouette, but as you say, it keeps changing. Now, we'll move on. And you have actually mentioned, here it is. You've mentioned your
running down the I love all that running down the corridor stuff. That's it, get the Doctor running away from whatever's chasing him. And of course, look at that corridor. Doesn't it look the same as the one before?
I mean,
you're insane to me.
I'm keeping my powder dry at the moment. That's just about it from John's judgment. So this is where we're up to. If I can just bring it on. I've been doing well so far on keeping it up. That looks really good, doesn't it? That looks like it's me. So there you go. That's yours. 3 to the pits, and you've got 7 to the hits, to the glitz.
Just to qualify, Hugh's right. The signalman is the Denham Elliott Doctor Who, the Christmas Ghost Story. But to qualify, while one of the pits is the lack of a proper costume for the Doctor, if they were going to put Ncuti in a proper costume, this suit is it. That's brilliant. Even with the afro, suits him.
Well, we'll see how we go on that one. Right, so we're hitting on me. You can see I'm going to start with some of my criticisms first. So if you don't mind, I'll start with my first one, which is I don't want the Beatles. Nothing about the Beatles. It's this pop culture element that we have with Doctor Who at the moment. It's this idea that we get a celebrity from history and we do what we want with them. They become our dolls or toys for the episode. And I'm not into that. I sometimes don't even like that flippancy in Doctor Who. I can cope with saying you had a long hot summer with Houdini if that's as far as it goes, because Houdini's been mentioned all the way back to John Pertwee as well. They seem to always mention Houdini. Jodie Whittaker mentioned Houdini. Everybody mentions Houdini. We had the Sir Isaac Newton episode where, of course, we had some tinkering of how historical fact. I bet they wouldn't dare do that with the Beatles, but I'm just thinking, oh, here we go again. I prefer Doctor Who, and I prefer shows when, in this case, the Doctor would be in the same place as the Beatles, and we might hear their voice, but you don't see them. I'm one of those who says, don't always show everything because you ruin the blooming thing. But of course, RTD in its present iteration will absolutely go for it. So yes, we will see the Beatles, and I just don't know. Please don't tinker with history. Of course, as I said in a previous show, he will not dare do what he did to Isaac Newton because they're recent history. But this is what I mean. Just mention the Beatles, have the Beatles in the 60s as a backdrop, go very Austin Powers if you want, but not for me. All right. That's my first judgment of the day there. So that's yours, wasn't it? I'm just keeping up with myself. So there's my first rubbish tip going on there. Okay.
Yes.
My second one is the jury's out with me. I mean, they made the big thing in the trailer. I mean, just the way it was edited, Jinx Monsoon with that shot and where it was put in the trailer stands out. So they really seem to be trying to lead us to, and so does every Russell Davies interview, the greatest villain in the universe, da 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 da. Now, in the transcript, the Doctor does say very sins into the vortex. I have the universe at my fingertips. He later on says you cad, as you say, but then later on he says when he's talking to Ruby, what was it? Ruby, there are powers beyond the universe. And I just wonder if this is the Jinx Monsoon thing and whether this is why he thinks a drag queen character is beyond, is fantasy almost. It's beyond male and female. I just wonder if that's what he's playing with. However,
I think the beyond the universe thing will refer to the more fantasy-based element that's what is apparently coming. So we can have, if you like, more cartoon-like villains represented here as with the drag Jinx Monsoon, which is just giving them leave to be a bit more pantomime-esque with that, because we're not dealing with things from our universe, so it doesn't have to have any.
You see, this is why. Basis. And I'm not being transphobic and I'm not being drag queen phobic or whatever they would call it. What I'm saying is look at that costume and look at that hairstyle. It's kind of Cruella de Vil with a piano keyboard on the collars. It's panto. I've seen pantomime dames with, a washing machine on their head. It has an essence of that. And I want people to take my Doctor Who seriously. I've got a sense of humor and I have a sense of proportion. This is the sense sphere. But I am still jury out, and I'm willing to be, persuaded. But at the moment,
does this character have a name yet?
I've not heard it, and this is maybe the big mystery. Maybe Jinx, Monsoon, Flood, Rani. It's under our noses. Everybody's the Rani, Mrs. Flood, the Duchess, and Jinx Monsoon.
I tell you what, and it'll turn out to be Bonnie Langford in the end.
Yeah. We're working it out, right? So it's 2 to the bad at the moment from me on this one. So my next one, where my little rant goes, I've just used this as a kind of template for it. Does that look like Rose to you?
It is Rose Noble, yes.
So Rose Noble's back in. That's not a negative before anybody gets triggered. No, what I'm saying is, it just tells me we're going to spend an awful lot of time on modern day Earth. And we had 3 of the 4 specials on modern day Earth. And it just tells me we're going to really enjoy modern day Earth values and judgments. And oh my God, this is when you trigger the fans. This is when you divide the fans. It's an adventure in time and space. Can we please get on with it?
And can just, sorry to interrupt you, Brendan, but the whole purpose behind the initial thing about having it on modern day Earth was as a cost-saving exercise, as they did when they had it with Pertwee Doctor. They don't have that excuse anymore because of all this Disney money. So this is a direct choice. I'll do it for you. You can't say I don't care if people get triggered or not. I don't like this character because it's so appallingly acted. That's why I don't know the actor. Don't know them. I don't know what they've done before or since, but I just found them as as wooden as the settee I'm sitting on underneath. Just badly acted. So that doesn't enthrall me at all.
Right, so there's that one. And so I think if I've got my score right, have I got my score right there? I'm on to 3 now. Is this 3 to the bad?
Oh, you whingy person.
Well, that's me at the moment,
Yeah, I noticed that.
So
Every
next one is right at the end. I think it's the last word he says in the actual trailer is he says classic. Nothing wrong with that. It's just a word.
Mm-hmm.
It's the way he says it. I don't know. His accent, I couldn't stand it. I'm sorry. This is just it. If I'm not phobic on lots of things, but I like some accents and I hate some others for a character. And the way classic, and he does all this. I don't know if he's partly going East End. Classic. I just could not stand it. It grated on me.
I didn't hear that, to be honest with you. This is all new to me. I didn't hear it.
If you listen to it at the end, it says classic, and I can't act. Hello, did you know?
I think Ncuti got a lovely accent. He does. It's African Scots, and it's lovely. It really, I think it works very well. So I must listen to that again.
He does, but he can, and that's different at the end. That's the bit I had a problem with,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so I've kind of covered 2: the classic, the modern day, the modern day values, the earthbound element, the Doctor going classic, and look, I can have the Doctor acting, John Pertwee in a wig and dressed as a cleaner, Patrick Troughton. I can do that. I can cope. I do have a sense of humor, but it just grated on me, and I thought, oh God, because it's a trailer, and those trailers are just telling us in snippets. That's a characterization on acid. That's a character there. Now, and I've got a positive on Ncuti, so it's not a piling on Ncuti before anyone else thinks it is.
Well, get to it then.
So if I just keep my numbers right, so let's have a look. Let's see if I've got my numbers right. So get one more on. So I actually, in the end, I did get as high as that, right? I've got 6 to the bad. Jinx Monsoon, Earthbound.
Well, on your side, it's all getting a bit blockbusters.
Well, yeah, I know. When you can you get across? You wouldn't get a pal across. So that's where we are. So obviously, am I just going to stay ranting all the time? Now, I do agree with John on what looks like a kind of tractator-esque, but maybe better at movement and maybe better realized. And yes, it does help. We know this from Star Wars days. Actually, when you use models and you actually use a prosthetic that's really there rather than a CGI, it just seems to work. And I totally agree with you there on that one. So I am excited about the tractators. So that was one of mine, and you've said an awful lot of it, so I'm not going to just kind of repeat.
Can I just give a shout out here to my nephew, who's now a father himself, but back in the day when we watched Frontiers together, he referred to the tractators as track potatoes. And that's a memory that stuck with him, the track potatoes.
Well, yeah, they didn't exactly move. Now, Raymond's here saying, and it is possible, Raymond, I've got older ears. I thought Ncuti was shouting lassie in an over-the-top Scottish accent. It is possible.
And given the fact he is Scottish, that would make sense.
Now, Raymond, I asked earlier, you may not have been on at that point. I was saying, what did the Duchess say in the trailer? Did she say, I resist him, I'll assist him? Because that bit I was confused by. But anyway, thanks for that, Raymond, because honestly, they're very loud and fast and slick. And even though I keep going over them, I didn't get. I agree with you. I agree with you on running down the corridors thing. But the running down the corridors thing, the way I've used it this way, and I didn't freeze frame it just after, which is it's the choice of shots. That's what gets me. The angles and the choice of shots by the director. You can tell the budget's gone up. You can tell the production values are better. And there's a moment he runs right at the camera and his head just goes past the camera. And I'm going to bleed into a lot of my positives all at once just to save people's time. But there's an exuberance about Ncuti's Doctor that's being sold in the trailer. The energy, the dynamism. And so, yes, I have an issue with the accent bit at the end. But as you can see, I also am excited by a lot of what I saw in the trailer, that energy, that drive. that bounce he's got. That is exciting.
Can I say,
Yeah.
just to go back to that picture, Brendan?
Yeah.
Like I said before, you put that picture. All these corridors do look the same to me.
Are you thinking there is something going on, like, or are you just thinking very
No,
school?
no, it's just that's every corridor in Doctor Who should look the same as every previous corridor.
Sometimes I start thinking it's like blooming schools. Right. So where am I up to? Right. Next one was, you mentioned the TARDIS on the cliff.
And I can see that tree.
Can I just can I just say something that got me thinking about this TARDIS on the cliff? Is this the other side of Dawlish? Is this the other area or something? Because is it possible we could revisit the regeneration?
No, this is Pembrokeshire. This is in Wales. No, it's not. And please, no. The Doctor Who fans are always looking for. What's it? I love humans. They're always looking for patterns. No, this is a different place. You know, we can't go to a cliff and automatically every time people think, oh, it's revisiting this and this. It's just an atmospheric location. I tell you what.
Lovely.
What I'll do, if I'm wrong and you're right, or your speculation's right, I'll go out, buy a hat, and eat it.
I was very good on that lady in the nightclub and in Wild Blue Yonder. I spotted that with my old eyes, didn't I?
All right. Don't go on about it.
But it's just, I mean, I'm sure Dawlish does look a bit different. However, I just thought, yeah. Well, of course, sometimes they can't go back to the same place. But I was just thinking, oh, it would be so tempting, wouldn't it, to fantasy, parallel universe, Mavity instead of gravity, Isaac Newton not looking like Isaac Newton did, whether we go back. And it's not that the regeneration's changed, it's just that the regeneration from Jodie to David to Ncuti was already tinkered with in the first place, which was what a lot of fans were saying in the first place.
I know, but you know, they're trying to keep an audience here. They're not going to go back to something which was a proven disaster, right? They want to drop that and move on.
Can I hear you? Right, you're saying they're not going to revisit things. They've already revisited the Flux. They've already revisited Timeless Children.
In a quick line here and there. But what they're not going to do is pay to go back and do this and have new viewers, however many millions or not they get on Disney Plus, singing, "What's all this about?" They're not going to do that. It's not going to happen.
I mean,
it's a cliff. Get over it. And talking to Beatles, we might get Cliff next. Richard, that is.
Well, please don't.
There's my campaign, Cliff and Doctor Who.
So I had 6 negatives and 6 positives. Some of them positive-wise, negative-wise, I agreed with John. So I don't want to just... I never... When I do these programs, I never assume the audience just want to sit there for hours and hear that kind of thing. I'm always aware that the audience are listening and the audience don't want repeat. And they don't want an echo chamber of just what somebody else has said. So basically, I've fused some of mine together. They are 6 there. And so I think in our total, that was our conclusion, if I just bring it bigger. So when we went through the whole season 1 trailer, we found more positives in it, more treasures in it than we did problematic, triggering pits of moments in it. I think it's 9-13 in favor of being very positive. Mm-hmm. So there we go. This is the season 1 trailer to us has been given the good old treatment of the Sabalom Glitz rather than the Sabalom Blitz.
But can I just interrupt for a little second again? That ties in with what we said way back at the start. In that 13 to 9 is quite close, so it's not as if it were a big stack of we're really looking forward to this. There's still some things we're concerned or worried or not fussed about. So it did its job. It's whetted the appetite, but it perhaps should have done a bit more. So I hope there's better to come.
Well, that was our first review of the season 1. You can see I'm advertising for tomorrow, the season 15 trailer discussion and reaction with a big panel at 1 o'clock on a Saturday, some of your weekend viewing. But the weekend viewing doesn't finish there. We also have more for you as well. So let me just advertise Sunday night at 7 p.m. Have the Daleks been exterminated by their own evolution? Now, it's a debate show. We're not going to go through chronologically every Dalek story. Why would you do that? I wouldn't do that to anybody watching, and I appreciate you watching. I honestly want to actually debate whether we think the Daleks have had their time. Should the Daleks be junked? Have the Daleks... I mean, remember, I'm going to discuss Davros as well, because if Russell Davies is carrying through this discussion about Davros, the Daleks are therefore problematic. The Cybermen are problematic. So we're going to really have a damn good debate on Sunday night at 7 o'clock. Please tune in. Have the Daleks been exterminated by the tinkerings of different writers? Have they been exterminated by being changed too much? I know, cover his ears. And yeah, is their future in doubt? And so there's two really good shows coming up there, as well as our Tuesday one at 4 p.m. John, isn't it? 4 p.m. on a Tuesday.
For a Tuesday, yes. Be there or be somewhere else.
So there we go. That is the judgment. 13-9, as John was saying. It wasn't a trouncing on either side. As two dedicated fans, we see a lot of problems with what we saw, but we also saw an awful lot of gems. If I had to ask you which one particularly out of everything, what promised you the most there? What excited you the most out of everything in the trailer?
Oh, right, okay. The slugs.
The slugs.
I do love a practical creature. I love an actor in a costume in Doctor Who, absorbing or killing or whatever it is to pure human beings. I think that's what Doctor Who does best.
Do you know what excited me the most? It was actually the Watcher outside the TARDIS.
Yeah, that's good too.
Yeah. Whether it was the Rani. Should we just keep saying the Rani?
Rani, Leela. It's all good. God, I love fans. It's the Rani. It's Leela.
It's my mum. It's just somebody who's photographing a tree going, it's a lovely tree. It reminds me of some ghost story. And
maybe perhaps it was just somebody walked on while they were filming.
I know.
They just have to hiya.
And that poor tree. I mean,
that tree.
You've got to be very serious sometimes, John. Davros is unfortunately associated with evil now with the wheelchair bound thing, and I think we shouldn't be focusing on that twisted, bent back tree. I'm sorry, we have embarrassed it. It's not fair. Oh, Raymond thinks. Oh God! Can you imagine Helen Mirren in Doctor Who? Yes, I can. But I can't imagine the money.
Don't mind that, provided she's playing either Susan, the Rani, Omega, the Master, the Watcher, Leela, your mother,
my mum,
a random extra, whoever. As long as she's playing one of those characters, who undoubtedly that character will turn out to be. That character has legacy written right through it. It's Leela as the Watcher, wearing Susan's coat and Kate left the Stewart's trousers.
I'm always talking to you on the phone in the morning when you're dog walking. She's just a dog walker. And she's been embarrassed because she didn't have a poo bag, and she's really embarrassed. And she's been exposed on camera, and she just stands there frozen going, and Ruby's there.
White as a sheet.
Exactly. You've never done that, have you?
No, I pick up. I do pick up.
Yeah, there's a few around here who don't. But why would you put it in a poo bag and then throw it into a bush?
But I don't.
No, but why do people do that?
Maybe it's more an art.
These are the big
things. I mean, look, Tracy Emin and all the rest of it got away with blue murder for years. So hanging a poo in a bag on a twig or a branch may well be artistic to some. Not me. We'll have to check that tree. Perhaps it's weighed down from poo bags.
Perhaps, yeah, over many years. Now, you see, if Russell Davies was bored on a Friday afternoon and he was just going through YouTube and what the fans were saying, and he happened upon us, he'll be inspired by what we've said about a possible story about people littering with poo bags. Because what he's like. He takes such light issues nowadays.
Yeah. Provided they were either trans, gay, or whatever, they would have to have some message in there somewhere, the messaging of it's not just simple as picking up after your dog. There has to be a hidden dark, because as we all know, most dog walkers are gay.
Oh, well, that goes without saying.
Absolutely.
Goes without saying. Now, before everybody leaves us, I am getting concerned about this, because in a cost of living crisis, we do have to think about these people. I am worried about the tribe of Gum.
Yeah.
It is important. People must subscribe. If it's not for me, I'm not that type of person. You know I'm not. Please like and subscribe, because the galactic credits will hopefully get us enough money to get a outdoor gas heater for the Tribe of Gum, because as you know, they've been cancelled, and sadly we've just heard that the Tribe of Gum have forgotten the secret of fire, so they're pretty much stuffed. So we're trying to help them out. We are a caring channel and we're trying our best, so please help us with a subscription. I'm sorry, John, to do this at tea time, but it's important. You're talking about poo bags. I'm bothered about the Tribe of Gum.
I don't.
Oh, I've rattled him now. You see, this is it. Our channel triggers people accidentally. I've just been reading the YouTube threads. How Sex in the TARDIS became what it did, I don't know. But if you want to be rattled again, please tune in to Sex in the TARDIS, because that seemed to rattle quite a few people. It was quite funny.
Sex tends to make me rattle.
It would now. Oh, no.
The age I am, yeah.
So there we go. That's us tomorrow. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. We've taken an hour of your time and we appreciate that. We really
Thanks, everybody. Love to speak to you again.
It's a big few days. Today, tomorrow, Sunday at 7 p.m. and then we're on Tuesday at 4 p.m. We're trying our best. There's other channels out there. Great. It's a Hooniverse. There's enough for all of us. So we appreciate you coming in to give us some of your time. We are very, very grateful of that. So thank you, John. Thanks for your time.
Thank you. Thanks to everybody in the chat. Thank you so much. Douglas says goodbye.
Oh, well, we'll see you again, Douglas. And of course, people always ask me, can we have the music? Can we have the tunnel? So goodbye, everybody.